So Jagdeep, tell us about your plans in India.
India is a very exciting country when you look at the rest of the world. Despite all the challenges that one might think about, when you're sitting in the US and you're a global investor and you try and figure out what's going on everywhere and you make a very short list of interesting places, I think everybody will have India on that list. So it's the same thing for us. And as I think about how do we learn about India and how do we invest in India, the model that I'm most comfortable with is finding partners, and not two partners or three partners and diluting our effort, because it takes a lot of work to get the partnerships right. I think partnerships are built on trust. Yes. So as I have been thinking about India in the last year, it so happened that I was connected to Mr. Tata through a mutual connection at the university. And then it was just instantly obvious that, you can't think of a better partner who has the respect, the credibility, the trust, and the integrity that define what a good partnership are all about. And so as I started to learn from him about where the opportunities are, and it was quite surprising for me to find out how excited he was about the new ecosystem that's developing around technology and startups. And the thing that struck me the most was his passion around what's happening based around the mobile phone. Yeah. So, as we had more of these discussions, but then extended them to energy and healthcare, it made sense to learn from him for us as an institution at the office of the CIO, which I run. And so that's how this all came about. And so really India, when you ask me, tell me about India, I think India is a learning opportunity. It's a learning opportunity for Indians as much as it is for foreigners, right? And so as you're going to learn, you want to learn from a teacher that, can guide you of what the challenges have been, but also where the opportunities might be. So we're very much at that stage, and that's why we've kept, what we're doing flexible and fluid as opposed to very well structured and defined, because there'll be a lot of volatility as we look out into the future. And I think you don't want to confine yourself to one way or the other. And so in that context, this partnership is really about learning about India, but doing it in a way that's flexible and taking a long-term perspective to it, and not looking for a quick return on your investment just because that's how some artificial construct has to work.
Your designation, if I may say so, is Chief Investment Officer. Right. Tell us about the Office of the President and what does it entail? It sounds very big. How big is it?
In terms of size and scale, I described earlier how the University of California has this status as being the largest public research university in the US. So the Office of the President has overall responsibility for making sure this UC system works well. My boss, I have two bosses. One is the 26 regents that are the board of regents of the university on investment matters, and on administrative matters is the president of the University of California, the former Secretary of Homeland Security, President Janet Napolitano. So I have a lot of stakeholders that I report into, and then of course the students and the faculty. It's a big university. But then the office of the CIO, so what we do, the Chief Investment Officer, is we take the pension fund, we take the endowment, we take all the working capital, we take all the retirement savings, the voluntary savings that people are putting their money in. And all of that gets accumulated into the office of the CIO. So that's how it ends up being close to sort of $90 to $100 billion. And we manage it all as different products, but you can think of us in some ways as an asset management firm as well. But the beauty of it is we're part of a university, so we've got this incredible knowledge network, intellectual capital. And when you're an investor, being an investor is about learning. It's about understanding what you're investing. And so we're in school, and we have all these amazing faculty and staff and researchers. Doesn't matter what domain you pick. Yeah. We have 5 medical centers. We have 3 national labs of energy. We have 10 universities. There's research going on something and everything in every nook and corner of the university. So if we can tap into that knowledge to learn about the things we're investing in, it's a very interesting advantage that we have. And so that's really, at the end of the day, I'm an investor. And being an investor, you have to be knowledgeable about what you're investing in. So if I can bring that back to India, it comes to the same thing. You have to learn, and you have to learn in a way that you understand the things you're investing in. And so this is really the whole point of this partnership.
Great. You were talking about certain sectors which are important worldwide. But to you, if you had to pick up and say, hey, this is one area which I really want to go after, what would that be and why?
I think there are two things. So my number one, number two, and number three objective is to make sure that the money we're managing for the future generation of faculty and staff and students is delivering on that promise for those future generations. So that's the fundamental role, the job. Having said that, there are two areas in particular that in the last 2 years have become fairly important for us. One is a focus on innovation, and another is energy. So when I say innovation, and you think about the University of California, the fact that we have 5 patents a day, 5 inventions a day, and we are highest rank in terms of the number of patents. The one thing we haven't done as good a job at is investing in the great ideas that are coming out of our own ecosystem. So we've set up our own innovation fund called UC Ventures with a commitment of $250 million to invest in both the incubators and the accelerators that are being created across the ecosystem, but also in these companies as they're maturing and they're growing. So that gives us one area where we can actually invest in something we understand and we have a comparative advantage in. The other thing is around climate change. Our president has made a commitment for the entire university to be carbon neutral by 2025. To achieve that, of course, with how much we spend on energy every year and what we do in terms of research, we are going to find solutions to accomplish that. But I think on the investment side as well, every investor today is invested in energy. And if you look at what's going on in the traditional energy markets, you have to think twice before you say, I'm going to commit new money to stranded assets or fossil fuels or the traditional energy mix as we're used to it. Now, I know it's a little different in India with the importance of coal and the energy mix here. But I think over time, we have to think about cleaner energy. So that's something from an investment standpoint I've made a large focus of ours, is to think about as we deploy new money into energy, where would we do that? What type of renewable energy sources would we invest in? And how would we go about making those investments? And a lot of that also depends on the innovation, because there's a great amount of innovation coming out of these are going to be the solutions to the next generation of energy problems that we have to solve. So those are two areas I would say that have become relatively important for us in terms of our focus. Now, there's a lot more we can do, but there's only so much. So in fact, Mr. Tata is a signatory to the Breakthrough Energy Coalition that Bill Gates just created with 28 other entrepreneurs and philanthropists from around the world. The University of California is the only institutional investor that's a signatory to this Breakthrough Energy Coalition. And the goal is for all of us to work together to invest in the next generation of energy solutions. So these two things, energy and innovation.
Okay. Very passionate you're talking about this investment and the change that you want to bring. Tell us about your background and what has shaped you to be where you are today.
I'm an engineer by background. I grew up in Africa, and then I went to Canada where I studied engineering, and then I stayed in school, and after getting my doctorate, essentially started working, and I've been in the financial services industry now for probably about 11 years. I would say the single thing that has shaped where I'm at or who I'm at is the mentors I've had all along. I mean, that's just, it's the guidance and the direction that you get from people that are, you know, they're just there to give you advice when you reach those forks in the road and those challenging situations or big decisions you have to make. And when I look back, it's those decisions and that advice that sort of really shape where I'm at. So I think that's just essentially my background. How I ended up in this role is it's very easy to look back and say this is, you know, where I'm at and this is how you get there. But I can tell you today, if I look back 10 years, I would never have projected or predicted that this is what I'd be doing 10 years from now. So I think the interesting thing is you look ahead, but you focus on the opportunities in front of you, and then you make decisions. And you ultimately you make a choice on which opportunity you're going to take. Yeah. And then once you do that, then you just give it all the hard work you can, and just make sure you're surrounded by people that can give you the best advice, but then also assemble people around you that are way smarter, and you've got a team, because ultimately it's not an individual that does anything, right? It takes a village, it takes a city, it takes a lot of people to make things happen. So that's really where I'm at, and so, you know, hence even coming back to the partnership here, it's not really about a structure, it's about an opportunity. Yeah. It's about surrounding ourselves and myself and my team with people that are significantly much better and smarter and brighter and talented and connected than we are, and that's Mr. Tata. So if you can do that, then, and you can, in him we have sort of a mentor as well, who can guide us on when we might reach some of those decisions, what might be a better path to take based on wisdom. I think if you put those things together, then you probably create a better environment to try and achieve the goals that are in front of you.
What's the India in you?
Well, my mom is from Bombay, and so we've come to Bombay every couple of years ever since I was born.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the India is me. The India in me is Indian, fundamentally, period. And so, the opportunity to this opportunity comes first and foremost from a very professional perspective, as an investor. Yeah. I think it's helpful that, you know, if you can appreciate the language and you have some awareness of what's going on. And that is tough. I mean, it's tough. You know, would we show up in Russia to do the same thing? Probably not. If you go to China, you still have to, you know, deal with some of those questions around language and transparency and things like that. So there comes a natural comfort zone in terms of the learning by being Indian. But fundamentally, the opportunity is really, as a professional, looking at this as anyone else would. And India is an exciting place, always has been and always will be, right? Yeah. So it's a cool opportunity to come back. And not just for me. I mean, I've got some of the members on my team that are Indian. In fact, Satish, I give credit to Satish Swami on my team, who sort of a year ago, I wasn't thinking about India, I have to tell you in all honesty, and he sort of pushed us to think about it. So, you know, you have to be surrounded by also people in your own team that lead you to these ideas. And so this exploration has been driven by others around me that have said we should look at India. I've been very hesitant for a long time for a whole variety of reasons, but I think it seems like there's an opportunity set here that one can expand on.
So we look forward to more investments and more opportunities, and more opportunities for entrepreneurs here in India. Thank you so much. Last, will we see a lot of you here coming to India?
I think you'll see a lot of our team here, absolutely, and that includes me.
Okay.
But this has got to be a team effort.
You set up an office here?
No. We have no intentions of setting up an office. We expect to work with Mr. Tata and Venkat and the team there. But I think our investment is going to be a good partner, and that requires both ways. We expect to see a lot of Mr. Tata in California as well. So it's a two-way street. But I fully expect that our team is going to spend a fair bit of time, and obviously I will find every excuse to join them when I can.
Great honor to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, and thanks for organizing today.